Replacement of hydraulic oil returning filter. Replacement period. Replace every 500 H. Materials required. Oil returning filter element, 1 PC. Replacement steps. Release the system pressure. Remove the bolt on the oil filler cap, and remove the oil filler cap. 3. Remove the spring, check valve, oil filter, and oil returning filter element. Install the new oil returning filter element, oil filter, check valve, and spring in the filter element cylinder. Make sure that they are properly and the O-ring is installed. Install the oil filler cap and tighten the bolt. Start the engine and idle for 10 minutes at a low speed to remove air. Shut down the engine. Cleaning/replacement of breather valve on hydraulic oil tank. Cleaning/replacement interval. Clean as necessary, and replace the breather valve every 1,000 H. Materials required. Filter element of breathing valve, 1 PC. Steps. Remove the breathing valve. Thoroughly clean or replace the breather valve. Replacement of pilot filter element. Replacement period. Replace the filter element at 500 hours of initial use, and then replace it every 1,000 H. Materials required. Pilot filter element, 1 PC. Steps. Place a container below the filter. Remove the filter body. Replace the pilot filter element. Replacement of gear oil and travel reducer. Replacement period. Replace at 500 H of initial use, and then replace every 1,000 H. Material required. Gear oil, 11L. Steps. Prepare a container to collect the drained gear oil. Make the oil level detection port, oil drain port, and oil injection port vertical to the ground. Place the container below the oil drain port. Remove plugs at the oil drain port and oil level detection port to thoroughly drain the lubricating oil. Inspect the O-ring on the plug. If it is damaged, replace it in time. Install the oil drain plug at the oil drain port and inject gear oil to the appropriate level from the oil injection port. Inspect the oil level. Install the plug at the oil level detection port. Inspection/replacement of oil level of slewing reducer. Materials required. Gear oil, 5.3L. Replacement period. Replace at 500 H of initial use, and then replace every 1,000 H. Steps. Pull out the dipstick and inspect if the oil level is between the marks on the dipstick. If the oil level is below the marks on the dipstick, remove the oil injection cap and inject gear oil until the oil level is between the marks on the dipstick. If the oil level is above the marks on the dipstick, loosen the drain plug to drain the excess gear oil until the oil level is between the marks on the dipstick. Before draining the gear oil, place a container for collecting oil below the drain plug. After inspecting the oil level, insert the dipstick into the hole, and then install the oil injection cap. Injection of lubricating grease for slewing bearing. Injection period. Inject lubricating grease every 250 H. Steps. Park the machine on a level surface with the working device facing forward. Lower the bucket to the ground. Shut down the engine. Lower the safety lock handle and lock the system. Inject lubricating grease through the injection port with a manual grease gun. Inject 4 times at each injection port. Stop the injection if the seal has grease overflow. Start the engine. Lift the bucket a few inches off the ground and rotate the excavator about 30 degrees. Repeat the above steps twice. After the grease has been injected, clean up any grease overflowing from the grease cup and cover the grease nipple with a cap. Irregular maintenance of excavator. Intake system of engine. Cleaning of air filter. Air filter cleaning is required only when the display instrument indicates the air filter clogging warning icon. Frequent cleaning of the air filter element can impede its optimal performance. and deteriorate its filtering efficiency. Steps: open the left door and lock the support rod. Unlock the lock on the air filter end cap. Remove the air filter end cap. Empty and clean the end cap and dust collector valve, and clean the interior of the end cap with a clean cloth. Remove the main filter element. Since the main filter element is sealed radially, there will be some resistance when removing it. Therefore, it shall be pulled and rotated at the same time, and be careful not to strike the housing and the filter element. Inspect and clean the main filter element and the housing. 1. Cleaning of mechanical. Tap the end of the main filter element gently against a soft and clean object surface. Do not impact or strike the filter element violently against a hard object. 2. Cleaning of compressed air. Blow dry compressed air less than 0.69 MPa, 7 kilograms per square centimeter, from the inside of the filter element along the folds towards the outside. Then blow from the outside of the filter element along the folds towards the inside, and then blow again from the inside to the outside. The distance between the nozzle and the surface of the filter element shall not be less than 3 to 5 centimeters. 3. After cleaning is completed, conduct inspection. By virtue of a lamp or reverse sunlight, if there are relatively small holes, scratches, cracks or relatively thin parts, the main filter element must be replaced. 4. After being cleaned for 6 times or 1,000H, the main filter element and the safety filter element must be replaced. 5. Even if the main filter element hasn't been cleaned for 6 times, if the pressure difference alarm still goes off after cleaning, the main filter element and the safety filter element must be replaced. Carefully install the main filter element by hand pushing its edge, and confirm that the main filter element is completely installed in the housing. Install the end cap on the air filter housing with the top arrow on the end cap facing upward, and fix it with the lock buckle. Notes: 1. Do not use the end cap to push the main filter element in, for this may damage the housing and the lock buckle. 2. If the end cap cannot be installed in place due to the main filter element, remove the end cap and continue to push the main filter element until it is installed in place. 3. The dust collector valve on the end cap shall be kept downward for dust removal. 4. After each cleaning of the main filter element, one label on the label of number of inspections on the air filter end cap must be torn off. It can be cleaned up to 6 times, and must be replaced after that. Replacement of air filter element. Replace the filter element at 1,000H of initial use, and then replace every 1,000H. Required materials: air filter main filter element, 1 PC, and air filter safety filter element, 1 PC. Remove the main filter element according to the step 3.1.1. Notes: do not remove the safety filter element at this time. Clean the inside of the air filter housing with a clean cloth. Prepare new main filter element and safety filter element, and inspect whether there is any damage, and replace them immediately if any. Remove the safety filter element, and quickly install the new safety filter element. Carefully install the main filter element by hand pushing its edge, and confirm that the main filter element is completely installed in the housing. Install the end cap on the air filter housing, with the top arrow on the end cap facing upward, and fix it with the lock buckle. Cooling system, cleaning/replacement of coolant. Required materials: coolant, 28L. If the engine temperature is too high, even if the coolant level is normal, the radiator shall be cleaned. If the engine temperature is still too high after cleaning, contact an authorized dealer. 2. The coolant has anti-freezing and anti-rust properties, and the anti-freezing performance of the coolant shall be inspected every 500H. The coolant must be replaced every 2,000H or 1 year. Whichever comes first shall prevail. Notes: 1. Do not mix the SHANTUI special coolant with any other anti-freezing agents or additives produced by other manufacturers, for the mixture may have negative effects. 2. The content of anti-freezing agent in the coolant shall not be less than 50%. Cleaning of radiator and condenser fin, heat sink. Steps. Open the left door and lock the support rod. Open the rear hood. Remove the butterfly bolts and then remove the dust-proof net. Use compressed air to remove all the sludge, dust, and leaves attached to the water radiator, hydraulic oil radiator fins, and condenser fins. Notes: 1. All fins shall be cleaned every 500 H. 2. The dust-proof net shall be cleaned as appropriate when debris or dust accumulates. Interior cleaning of cooling system. Notes: 1. After the engine stops, the coolant is in a high-temperature state, and there is a certain pressure inside the radiator. If the radiator cap is open to drain the coolant at this time, there is a risk of scalding. Wait for the coolant temperature to drop below 50 degrees Celsius, and slowly open the radiator cap to release the internal pressure. 2. When starting the engine for cleaning, if leaving the driver's seat, the safety locking lever shall be set to the locked position. 3. When handling waste liquid, pay attention to environmental protection. Steps. 1. Open the left door and lock the support rod. Open the engine compartment hood. When the surface of the radiator cap is not hot to the touch, slowly release the radiator cap while pressing it, and remove the radiator cap. Place the container containing the coolant on the lower part of the drain hose installed on the drain valve. Open the drain valve to drain the coolant. After draining the coolant, close the drain valve and inject pure water or new anti-freezing fluid. When the radiator is full, start the engine and run it at low idle to raise the temperature to more than 90 degrees Celsius, and then continue to run for about 10 minutes. Shut down the engine, open the drain valve to drain the cleaning solution, and then close the drain valve. Fill the SHANTUI special coolant from the water filler port of the radiator. 9. To release the air from the coolant, begin by running the engine at a low idle speed for 5 minutes, followed by running the engine at a high idle speed for another 5 minutes. During this process, please ensure to remove the coolant filler cap. 10. Drain the coolant in the expansion tank. Clean the interior of the expansion tank and inject coolant between the low and full marks, then tighten the expansion tank cap. 11. After turning off the engine, allow approximately 5 minutes for it to cool down. Then, check the coolant level and add coolant to reach the desired level near the radiator water filler. Finally, securely fasten the radiator cap. Notice: 1. Whenever coolant is replaced, it is essential to clean the cooling system. During the cleaning process, it is not allowed to use well water, river water, or regular tap water. 2. Do not inject cold coolant to the engine that is working or has just finished working but has a high temperature, for this may cause cracks in the cylinder body and cylinder head. 3. Failure to replace the coolant in time may cause the cooling system to clog and the engine to stick.